Okay, well, we have another speaker. It's a lot, isn't it? It's just like, whoa, a lot. So our next speaker is Natasha Blakely-Berteloot. She's training and engagement specialist at Project Avary. Natasha earned a degree in education with a minor in counseling and served as an executive director for art education programming throughout the Central Valley of California for over 15 years. She's currently a certified professional coach who has developed and facilitated sessions to help clients improve their patience, their attention to detail, boost their confidence, and increase their self-esteem. Mental health and wellness have been a passion for Natasha since she grew up in a single parent home and experienced firsthand the effects of having an incarcerated parent. And as a child, she was strongly impacted by community and enrichment programs for underserved youth, and from a youth made and from a young age made it a goal of hers to give back to the youth in her community. That's Natasha. So today, Natasha is grateful for the privilege of being part of Project Avary community as a training and engagement specialist. And she's a trusted public speaker who has traveled across states to offer training and seminars on the impact of parental incarceration. And she shares applicable resources to impacted communities. Natasha's talk for us today is entitled Not Their Sentence, Supporting Children of the Incarcerated. Welcome, Natasha. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. As you shared, my name is Natasha. I am the training and engagement specialist with Project Avary, but more important than that, I am a child of an incarcerated parent. Um, my dad's last words that I heard at 4 years old when he was arrested in front of me was, "Are you guys going to arrest me in front of my kids?" That's the last time I heard his voice for 4 years when I saw him again at 8 and we were reunited. Um, I never talked about that experience that I had with my dad all through school, college. It was almost as if it never happened. No one ever addressed what I had witnessed in my father being arrested in front of me. So that brings me to Project Avary, an organization that supports children who have had or currently have a parent that is in jail or prison. So I will share my screen with you guys and do a little slideshow about our program. So Project Avery started in 1999, and it was started by a chaplain who worked at San Quentin. And what happened is he would observe the youth coming into the facility to visit their loved ones. But as time continued to go on, he started to see those same youth come back, but this time as the incarcerated themselves. And he thought, what can we do to break this generational cycle of incarceration? It started as an in-person camp that happened just one day a year. Now we're serving children all over the United States.
Mm.
And just to talk about the impact of incarceration, we've talked a lot today about the impact on the incarcerated themselves and even the families of those. But specifically for children, as was brought out in the last by the last speaker, 2.7 million children right now have a parent that is in jail or prison. But incarceration is very fluid. So over their lifetime, over 10 million children will have a parent at some point arrested or incarcerated. It's actually the second greatest public health issue in the United States for children, making it a national crisis. It is listed as only one of the 10 ACEs that adversely affect our youth. However, usually if you have a parent that is incarcerated, you have other ACEs under your belt, including maybe witnessing violence, being a victim of violence, having someone in the family that suffers from mental health or drug dependency. So all of these ACEs together means that the youth usually has three, four, or more ACEs. The more ACEs you have, the more likely you are to suffer from PTSD, depression, and other very serious mental health issues. There is also a stigma that comes with incarceration. Our youth are suffering from crimes that they never committed. They are suffering and being judged for things that they had no control over. And so they usually suffer in silence due to that stigma. And also in Black and Brown communities, we're often told not to share that part of our story with others because of the judgment and the stigma that comes with that. So what our children need is a place to be able to feel supported, to receive social and emotional support from both adults and peers who have lived through similar circumstances. And that's what we do at Project Avary. There's 4 pillars that we provide. We provide a place for them to be able to belong and connect with others who have lived through similar circumstances. We also provide a place for them to share. I want to go back to belonging though and just add one other thing. Oftentimes, children feel like they're the only ones that's going through this situation. That was the case with me. I didn't know of any of my friends having a father that was in jail or prison. And that's because we don't talk about it openly and honestly. So having credible messengers, both adults and peers who have lived similar experiences is important, but also having a space to share free from judgment. It wasn't until I was an adult and I found Project Avary was I really able to put my thoughts into words about my experience of incarceration. It's also important to have a space to be able to give back, to pour into other youth. I can honestly say, as a youth, the one thing I really wanted to do when I became an adult was be the person that I needed as a child. And at Project Avary, it's not just me that has the opportunity to do that, but every single youth that's in our program is taught to become young leaders. In fact, as they grow through the program, they can get paid to step into different leadership roles. And part of that leadership role is to pour into other youth. And we also provide a place to be able to have fun. I quite possibly think this is the most important thing that we do at Project Avary, because for many of our youth, they have so much responsibility at home due to losing a parent that they don't have opportunity to just have fun and be a kid. And I know that was my circumstance. I was the oldest of 3 children in a single parent home. And so I was working and from a very young age trying to support my family. Even before I was working at 4 years old, I remember being in the kitchen and cooking eggs and helping my mom with breakfast just because I knew she had so much on her plate. So a little bit about Project Avary and how we support. We are a nonprofit organization. So we provide all of our resources at no cost to families, thanks to our sponsors. We offer national support circles. These are online groups that take place 1 day a week, 1 hour a week, and 6-week sessions throughout the year. Well, youth from all over the United States are able to join into a supportive space. They are able to get youth and leadership development and training, paid training as they step into leadership roles also. We do also offer caregiver support groups. So if you are a parent who has a child that has been a caregiver that has been to jail or prison, you would also be welcome to join our caregiver support groups that happen monthly. And for those that are in the greater Bay Area or Northern California, we offer family camps, community days, year-round adventure retreats. And these sleepaway camps, they do all kinds of fun things from whitewater rafting, zip lining, rope obstacle course, horseback riding, so many different things. Our goal is to be able to bring that outdoor program all over, but the best way to do that is to start with the online program and grow our community throughout the nation. In our 6-week sessions, we have a curriculum that is fun-based. So majority of the time we're having fun, but we do have what's called real talk. And that's where we talk about real things and situations, and we get in front of the stigma of incarceration. The reason why there is a stigma is because we don't talk about it openly and honestly. So that's how we get in front of the stigma, having these open conversations. All of our counselors have lived experience, like myself, of also having a parent that has, or family member that has been to jail or prison. And we use evidence-based practices to lead the sessions with a healing-centered approach. We also have youth and leadership development. So this means we incorporate youth voice into our sessions. We're not telling the youth what to do or how to feel, but we're listening to them. what their interests are and how they're feeling, and we validate that those feelings. We have the youth come in prior to the start of group that are in leadership, and they stay after to talk about how the sessions went, how we can grow and do better, and different things that they would like to try in upcoming groups. Many times, one of the questions that people ask us is, do we have licensed clinicians leading the group? We think that lived experience is expertise. So the most important thing to us is having people who have actually lived through those circumstances. So sometimes there are licensed clinicians that are counselors, and sometimes there are not. But all of our counselors go through a rigorous training program, and it takes at least a year for them to be able to lead these sessions, and they're co-led. So they co-facilitate with other trained counselors within the group. We offer social and emotional support. And as I mentioned, professional leadership development. I believe being a counselor is a lot like being a teacher. You can be a great teacher, but you could still always get better. You can always increase your skills. You can always increase your confidence. So that's important to us. We just to kind of show the difference between our program and other programs. As mentioned, a lot of the youth who have experienced having a parent in jail or prison, or even those who have been in jail or prison, clinical therapy is important. So I don't want to take away from that. However, it is usually expensive, which makes it inaccessible for our youth. And also, many times these professionals have not lived through the lived experience themselves. For these youth, hearing when you're able to say, me too, I have a similar circumstance, that means more to them than any degrees that you carry. And so in our program, we have a trauma-informed approach. We have long-term community. Many times clinical therapy is just for a short period of time, whereas our youth are able to come into our program as young as 8 years old, and they stay 18, 25 years old and beyond, because it's important for them to have us to have boots on the ground and long-term approach, because we know what it's like to have a family member snatched away from us. So it's important to be accessible, affordable. We are nonprofit again, so our program is at no cost. And it's also to be peer-led. So they often, youth will seek out those that are a little bit closer to their age. So having youth in those leadership positions is important. So even as young as 16 years old, they can be what's called a junior counselor. And even as young as 8 years old in our online program, they can be called what we call a junior leader. And so they have a voice within our sessions also. And traditional mentoring is also a great tool. I believe that you can use all of these different models together to support someone, but oftentimes they don't have trauma-informed training. They have great one-on-one relationships and it's supportive. But in our community, because there is a group of people, they're able to get the support that they need, because sometimes just being with others and recognizing you're not the only one is healing in itself. So even if our youth never mention anything in the groups and they're just receiving, it's healing and hearing others and how it resonates with you. So to participate in our group, they have to be between the ages of 8 to 25. If they're between the ages of 8 to 17, they do need to have caregivers' consent. They need to have a family member that has been or is currently in jail or prison. It doesn't necessarily have to be a parent, but someone that directly impacts their life. So even if it is an older sibling or a grandma, grandpa who has been arrested, this could directly impact the youth. I know for me, my uncles were incarcerated when I was a teenager, and I had to write character references to help with their cases. So that directly impacted me also. For those that are in the greater Bay Area, we try to get rid of any kind of barriers for our youth to be able to attend. So that even includes transportation to and from our pickup locations throughout the Bay Area. And the majority of those that are impacted by incarceration are BIPOC populations. They're 5 times more likely to be arrested than white Americans. So this is the majority of our group, but we're very culturally inclusive. So that means we also help and support those who are impacted by ICE. So this is a lot of the numbers that I shared do not necessarily even include those that have parents arrested or detained by ICE, but any youth that's impacted by the carceral system are welcome into our space, and it is a safe space for our youth to be able to find community. Um, Also, just want to share some tools, how to talk about incarceration. It is a sensitive topic, not only for the youth, but also for the caregivers. So it's important to use inclusive language. So sometimes our youth have both of their parents incarcerated, in which case they may live with an adopted parent or maybe your aunt or uncle. So instead of using terms like parents or mom or dad, we use terms like caregiver because it's more inclusive. We don't want to be more exclusive because we've experienced that enough. Also, if it's not your personal experience, admit that you don't know what it's like. It's not helpful to say that you know when you actually don't, and actually it just can deepen feelings of shame. Don't speak negatively about that caregiver or that parent's crime. That also increases feelings of shame. And even if that's something the youth is doing, we don't want to participate in that, but really just focus on your intention of helping to connect the youth to programs that will help them to be able to heal. It's also important to be persistent because it is a sensitive topic. They may be hesitant or reluctant to share or to sign up or to participate. So it's a conversation that has to happen on multiple occasions. Also, it's very important to collaborate. We cannot serve everyone. So we have to be willing to connect them with others and provide what they need. So providing opportunities only happen when we share resources. So those who are closest to the problem are usually closest to the solution, but they lack the resources or access to the resources that are needed. So as I mentioned earlier, we believe that lived experience is expertise. So it's important for us to share resources with those that are in need. And also it's important for us to pay those that are the experts. So if the youth is an expert in that topic, we pay them, which is why in our youth and leadership development program, they are paid. We're willing to partner and support others. So that means sharing on social media. We will share other community events that are going on. We will do trainings with staffs on how to work with youth, even in the justice system or with police. How do they address the issue of having children that are present when there is an arrest? Even when it boils down to being on television, that's something that's never addressed. The arrest happens and life goes on. How can we incorporate ways to include conversation about the youth? So that's training with foster care, social workers, and others. Here are some of the things that we will provide. We can take referrals. If you have a referral for someone else, you can do a third party referral, or you can do a direct referral. A youth can refer themselves, or a caregiver can sign up a youth for a program. You can request us to come out as a guest speaker on podcasts. We'll do staff trainings, community presentations, etc. Again, we're always happy to collaborate on social media, share out what events that you have. And I just have on our website, we have a little link where you can register or refer a youth here. And it just takes about 5 minutes to do a referral. I'm not going to click on it just for time's sake, just to show the overall impact of our program. 100% of our youth have healthy attachments after participating in our program. 94% actually have no involvement in the justice system as adults, which is an amazing stat. 80% of our youth go on to complete at least 1 year of college, many of them being first generation to attend. I do want to show a little video with you where you're able to hear from some of the youth directly who have been in our program. And
I love the feel of Avery all around. And I also want to say it's very hard to create a vibe via Zoom or online, right? But Avery does it and it's amazing. But we're going to have a lot of fun. Week 6, we're going to have the best session ever. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Yes.
I know that's right.
That space where they can be whatever they want to be, whoever they want to be, however they want to be every single week, I think is super important.
Then why are we all here at Avery? Oh, Maximus?
Because we have somebody incarcerated.
Absolutely, because we know someone who has been incarcerated or is still incarcerated.
Parental incarceration is actually the second greatest public health issue in the United States for children. There's over 10 million children who have a parent that has been to jail or prison. So I would say it would be a disservice to not offer this program to our youth.
In Texas, I just never met anyone who has had a family member that was incarcerated, and I felt like I was the only one and very alone. And when you're in a different state and you're maybe don't have a lot of people in your area that can relate to your experience, going nationally is really cool to be able to kind of meet different people from other areas, and it just really widens the impact.
So if that's you, raise your left hand and then raise your right hand and say, "What's up, Avery family?"
What's up, Avery family?
The Avery family, the way we support each other and welcome each other with open arms, is something that you don't really get from any other organization, or you don't get anywhere else. It's very unique to Avery. So at Avery, we make the world a better place by first making a teeny part of the world a better place. And that's our Avery community. We stay together, we listen to each other, and we support each other with KCC. Avery didn't do this to you. You did this to Avery. You are powerful. You made our little part of the world a better place, and we hope you come back as leaders to help make Avery a bigger part of the world.
To someone who is hesitant about joining, try it. Just join one group. If you just want to come in and sit and listen and see what it's about, come sit and listen and see what it's about. I promise that you'll love it. It's a space where, again, you can be whatever you want to be, whoever you want to be. It's a space for you.
So sending all of you Avery love.
Thanks for watching. That's my time.
All right, Natasha, I just have one thing to say, which is yay, yay, yay that you exist, yay that Project Avery exists. And thanks for bringing us good news. It's so hard to get good news in this whole realm, right? But you bring us such good news for what's happening. How long have you been with Project Avery?
I've been with Project Avary for 4 wonderful years.
Hey, thank you so much. Such good news. Thank you for sharing it with us. So enlivening. Any last words before I know I think you're going to be available for the panel later. So everybody, if you have a question for Natasha, you can send it to #M Neil Abramson. Send the question there, and Natasha will be part of the panel later. But anything right now, Natasha, anything before we end this particular formal part of your presentation, last word?
No, that's it. I look forward to answering any questions that you guys have about the program later on.
Yay. Thank heavens you exist. Just thank heavens you exist. Beautiful.